The 4 pillars of health, simple habits that compound for a lifetime. Today, we're going to break down one of the 4 pillars of health. This is going to be a series where we dig into the practical strategies that complements the content shared, and I'll talk about what they are, why they matter more than you think, and how to start building a stronger foundation for your life starting today. Do me a favor before we get into the show, give up a positive rating and a review. Share the show, as this is how we grow our community and impact more people. Thus far, the show's independent, and I don't have guests to cross-share followers, meaning I rely on you each week to spread the word. Welcome to The Practical Edge. We're here to strip down the old and rebuild a better you, helping you redesign your life with clarity, courage, and practical strategies. If you're ready to stop settling and start evolving, you're in the right place. I'll be your host, Dylan England. Now, let's get on to the show. These are the same tools I use with my coaching clients, whether they're recovering from injuries, fat loss, or reclaiming their independence. One thing we need to keep in mind is the fact that we are never passive observers in our lives. We are always active participants with every daily decision that we make. And those decisions are made with intention or neglect. Shaping our health, our mindset, and our future is not always easy, and it requires some sacrifice. Here are a few things we need to keep in mind, as they are the foundation of implementing these 4 pillars of health efficiently and effectively. We must be willing to change our ingrained habits, accepting new challenges, and venture outside of our comfort zone as necessary. We need to be willing to take action confronting uncomfortable or intimidating problems, rather than ignoring them until it's too late. Listen, we need to keep in mind that you have skin in the game in a very literal sense. We're talking about your life here. In this scenario, you are no longer the passenger on the ship, you are its captain. So it's time to set a clear course where you're headed. To navigate health effectively, you need a reliable compass and framework that keeps you focused on what truly matters most to you. That's where the 4 pillars of health come to play in changing your life and keeping you in the direction that you want to go in. These foundational areas are critical systems that keep your ship afloat, no matter what storm may come in your day-to-day life. So let's break it down one by one. The first pillar we're going to talk about today is nutritional intake. This field of social media suffers significantly from the Dunning-Kruger effect, where there are over 40,000 books on nutrition that conflict with each other. They can't all be right. Here's what the research says and what's realistically practical in application. Most of the content that's found on social media is speculative, yet shared as absolutes. The sad thing is, some of this information comes from individuals that appear to be very intelligent and great speakers. But the words that come out of their mouth on their large platform is fear-mongering and unnecessarily overcomplicating. Dr. Adrian Chavez said it best: nutrition is a science and not an opinion. Food is fuel for our body with the emotional and cultural ties. So understanding how those ties affect your decision allow you to make a better decision and take charge of your eating habits in association to your goals. One of the most common trends in diet is to talk about macronutrients. So let's talk about it. Having a balance between carbohydrates, fats, and proteins can support your immune system, energy levels, focus, and physical performance. I'm going to tell you straight. If you have an emotional reaction to this, ask yourself why. But there is no one bad macronutrient in this bunch, despite the conflicting information and fad diets that demonize carbs and fats. One of the most energy demanding but effective ways to ensure you're reaching a specific goal is doing the math. Although we do not need to count calories for most goals, it can be a helpful tool and process to ensure we're working towards our goals. Interestingly, according to the FDA, calorie labels are allowed to be up to 20% inaccurate. But despite that bit of information, it's still the best option that we have readily available to us to find out what we're eating and how much of that we are eating. If we're not getting the results we want and we are working towards in our goals, whether it be fat loss or muscle building, I'll often suggest starting with just counting protein intake as it helps feel full longer, aiding in muscle recovery, and also helps us shape more ideal choices, often resulting in a lower total caloric intake if your goal is fat loss. But if you're trying to improve your performance during an aerobic event that lasts longer than an hour, having the appropriate macronutrients like carbohydrates will help fuel your body as you deplete the glycogen within your muscles. I've ran 100 miles in a single day. I've ridden over 200 miles in a single day. In order to accomplish feats like this, where you're moving for literally the entire day and night, strategizing a nutrition plan is essential for success. But I digress from performance nutrition and I want to pivot back to muscle building and fat loss goals, as this is the most common for most people. If you want to find out more about performance nutrition, that's something we can talk about in the future. I encourage you to ask. I'll often look to protein sources when it comes to choosing meals and supplements to fill in my day. So the rest of my meals are complement or revolved around the source of protein that I want to consume in that meal. An example of something I'll eat in the morning is going to be something like Kodiak waffles. That's what I had this morning with crunchy peanut butter and scrambled eggs. I know crunchy peanut butter or peanut butter itself is very high in calories. I'm willing to make that sacrifice because I love peanut butter personally. Yesterday, I had Greek yogurt with fruit and a nut mix on it. When it comes to protein, why is it discussed so often, whether your goal is muscle building or fat loss? It aids in repairing the building of muscles, but also it has a higher thermic effect when consumed. All those macronutrients differ. So protein, for example, has a thermic effect of 20 to 30%, meaning that about 20% of the calories ingested or that you consume that are a source of protein are burned, resulting in a lesser of 20% calories. Where carbohydrates, depending on fiber source and source of carbohydrate, it can be about 5 to 10%, and fats often tend to be 0 to 3%, generally speaking. So if you consume a higher protein source and you say that is 1,000 calories of protein, which would be insane, you're actually consuming 20% less from a body absorption perspective. So your body's actually absorbing lesser calories when you focus on a higher protein diet. This may be also one reason why protein satisfies hunger better than any other macronutrient. However, with the increased protein intake, we have to consider the fact that we should also increase our water intake. As our liver breaks down the nitrogen, which is from the structure of protein, the kidneys also dispose of it through the urea, meaning that we need to give it the support that it needs by staying hydrated. As for staying hydrated, downing a cup of water in the morning may not be optimal, but it's a great way to start the day to ensure you start that habit of hydration. Following that, carrying a water bottle with you through the day ensures that you're inclined to drink more through the day. Hydration is essential for homeostasis, and without it, all other avenues of health begin to falter. How much water differs per person, so we need to consider the fact that we have different activity levels, different environments that we may live and or operate in. Once we feel thirsty, usually there's a chance we're already partially dehydrated, so trying to drink before we're thirsty is often a good strategy. If your energy levels aren't where you want them to be, you want to support your joints, digestive system, increasing recovery, healthier skin. Consuming more water in a day can support all of these things, and yet we're missing the forest through the trees by paying for cosmetics and supplements that do less for us than the stuff that comes out of our kitchen sink. I'll digress from here for future episodes on nutrition science, which could be multiple hours of content covered in specifics with and ifs or buts. I'm going to give you some actionable tips, but keep in mind being flexible gives you the freedom to not fall into the mental trap of what you can and cannot do. Change your habits, not your goals. Get on an eating schedule where you can choose to eat at particular times each day. That consistency allows you to plan in advance and just make more ideal decisions. And you know what you're going to consume in advance, meaning that you're likely making that choice in relation to your goals versus an emotional response or habitual response that we're trying to shift away from. Planning your meals each day in advance ensures that you're, again, just making the ideal choices for your goals. Pack a snack on the go that you enjoy. So it's common to find me carrying something like a protein shake, maybe a dark chocolate covered almonds, or a protein bar in my bag. Aim to add higher protein options into your daily diet like chicken, lean meats, lentils, beans, tofu, fish. Consider higher fiber options when it comes to carbohydrates, unless you're performing at an event that lasts over an hour and that is physically demanding, where you want simple carbohydrates. Outside of physical performance and activity, generally having a higher fiber option tends to be ideal for our health when it comes to just our general overall daily intake from a calorie perspective. And the great thing is, fiber doesn't necessarily count as calories as our body doesn't digest it, but we do count that, helping aid us in a calorie deficit, which ultimately helps with weight loss and fat loss. As for meal consumption, instead of binge eating and consuming your entire portion of the food, split it in half. I used to take pride in the idea of being part of the Clean Plate Club, as much as also seeing how much food I could eat in a single sitting at one point in time. It was up to 10 plates at one point. It was something I boasted about when I wasn't thinking about health, wellness, or aesthetics, leading to the confidence that I may have now in comparison to where I was before. Enjoy the first half of the food that you have. Reassess, am I still hungry, or can I stretch this out into another meal and enjoy it again later today or tomorrow? Remind yourself that there's always readily food available on a given day for most of us fortunate enough to live in a first world country. However, instinctively, we may have the urge to eat as much as we can, storing that energy for future potential use, which presents itself as additional body fat. So having that mental state in affirming that we have the ability to get food or will have access to food gives us away from that anxiety producing thought process a bit, feeling as if we must eat all of whatever food is in front of us. And this could be shaped from something we learned as an adolescent, but making the decision now to start affirmations that suit you and your needs will only help you long term. Another habit is carrying water with you just about everywhere you go. I don't recommend it, but I've accidentally walked into grocery stores with my water bottle just out of habit. Try to limit your calories from drinks. Consider what alternative things exist, like added sugar into your drinks that can be hundreds of calories that don't support your health. Consider tracking your protein and or all fats, proteins, carbs, fibers, and sugars to get a good concept of what you're actually consuming over the time of a week. Often most people are way off when they start to count in relation to what they think they're actually consuming. For the final round of this episode, we're going to go over a couple of myths and quickly debunk them. Eating after a particular time will not cause you to gain weight, but it will allow you to eat more total calories through a day, resulting in an increased weight due to being in a surplus of calories. Eat when your schedule allows you to, as the fasting state just aids in keeping you in a calorie deficit, and it gives you the guidelines or guardrails that you might mentally need in order to reach your goals. Carbohydrates do not make you fat, as said before, nor do fats make you fat. It goes back to the total sum calories consumed. And mentioned before, with the thermic effect of food, there are strategies you can think about when choosing food options and meal options. You don't need a miracle supplement. You don't need a miracle supplement. I said that twice intentionally. If you take a regular multivitamin, it's likely you have covered what you need unless you have a prescription or communication with, let's say, your physician about specific nutrients that you need to supplement with. Most supplements have a poor outcome in research outside of certain ones like caffeine, creatine, and protein. Most, not all, supplements beyond that are placebo effect at best. If you're having gastrointestinal side effects from certain supplements like creatine, try drinking more water through your day. If protein isn't working for you for digestive reasons, look into a hydrolyzed option, as it's easier to digest by the body, yet not necessary if you're not having any issues with some of the conventional protein options that exist. If you are looking to find out more about total calories, feel free to check out my website at dylanjengland.com. Go into the tools and resources section and you'll find the calorie calculator there There is no catch. You just go to it, you'll see the content, you click on it, you put in your information, and you're good to go. If you want any more specific information, please do not hesitate to reach out to me. In the next episode, we're going to talk about the closest thing to a healthcare and management panacea that exists. The best part about it is it's backed by tons of research. Until then, remember, your next level doesn't come from wishing. It comes from daily consistent action. Lean into discomfort and stay relentless. Average is optional, growth is a choice, and the practical edge is where you sharpen that choice. Until next time, stay focused, stay driven, and keep leveling up. Have a great day.